SEO this week. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of SEO this week. Thank you very much for joining. Today we're going to go over pagination, AI, Anthropic, and a whole bunch of other cool guy stuff. So with that, let's just get into it.
Did you know a press release alone isn't enough? Visibility is key. You need a multi-platform strategy to share your story across news, audio, video, and social media. Welcome to Magic PR, where your press release transforms into a powerful media experience, maximizing exposure and engagement. We distribute your release to top outlets like Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, Business Insider, and more. Plus, your release is SEO optimized, ensuring better search rankings. But we don't stop there. We turn your press release into a podcast, distributing it across 25 platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Then, we create a social media content for Facebook, X, and Instagram, and even transform your story into a video press release for YouTube and top media sites. Video drives over 80% of higher engagement, and short-form content is king. We make viral videos for your YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and more. At Magic PR, we don't just publish, we amplify. Get your press release seen, heard, and shared everywhere. Visit magicpr.com today and take your brand to the next level. Back to you, Clint.
All right, everyone. So this is the first one. Is SEMrush blog, Pagination and SEO. It's actually pretty good. I will admit it's a little bit older than SEO this week, but I like it because I've seen a lot of questions about the pagination topic. So short version is go down here, and probably the best tip in the whole article is self-canonicalize each page. Here's the downside. If you're using WordPress, for example, and you have like a Yoast or Rank Math or SEO Press Pro, that's the one that I use, it sets automatically in their systems to canonicalize all of the parameter pages, i.e. all of these pages, to the actual beginning or the first page of the category. So categories are like that, tags are like that, your blog's like that. And the downside of that is technically all of those pages have unique content on them. They may share like the category description, for example, but all of the blogs that are on there, and maybe even all the excerpts that are on there, that collection is indeed unique content. So you are kind of missing out on having those indexed. Now, the other side of that is that ideally you would want this one to be the one that's optimized, the one to have the titles and the descriptions and all of that stuff, and then these not. And fundamentally in WordPress, they carry over. So if I do title and description for this and it's published on the page, that title and description is published on this page and it is published on this page. So ideally you would want a system that doesn't let that happen. Now, I'll speak honestly, I don't know of a WordPress plugin that does that. Maybe someone who knows how to code PHP and can do a plugin for that. I'm actually going to reach out to SEO Press Pro and see if they can make a fundamental change or at least have the settings so that you can handle, at a minimum, self-canonicalization, and then we'll work on a way to make it so that you can create these unique. So this will always be the one with the main title and description, and these ones will get like the description removed. The title tags will have the page numbers, so those will be unique. But if you remove the descriptions on here, you can remove some of the air quotes duplicate content that you are creating. I would say though, if your page count is enough and you have enough blog posts showing up on it, say 10 to 20, and each of those has excerpts, you're going to have more unique content than you would have duplicate content. So it's not horribly bad as long as we can figure out a way to correct the canonicalization thing that is created by most plugins. Just how it is. Clear descriptive URLs, blah. Avoid fragments. I don't know. This would probably apply to, say, someone who's building their own pages or paginations, and instead use parameters instead of fragments. I would argue that, yeah, if you're using HTML and you're building your own paginated pages, then you would probably need to address this. I don't know too many CMSs that use this over this though, so check it and be done with it. Here's where I got the de-optimized stuff. I don't necessarily know that you have to de-optimize them. It would be cool, like if you're doing it with HTML, then you can actually create different descriptions and different title tags and try to rank for different variations with your pages. So your primary keyword, let's say your primary keyword, and we'll just do paginated pages. That's your primary keyword. And you have, and then you, for your page 2, you would optimize page 2 for a related search for this. So let's look up a related search for this. Let's see. Paginated pages examples, and then how to write paginated pages, Google paginated pages, Google. I mean, that's a way. I'm not saying it is the way to handle this, but there's other things you can do than completely de-optimizing the paginated pages too. So just think about it that way. Maybe even in the descriptions for these, if you could do custom descriptions, you could actually put a link to the primary category page as a interlinking your paginated pages beyond just next and previous, right? You have keywords. That might be an interesting option too. Avoid no indexing paginated pages. I mean, this is kind of an old school thing, because especially if you're thinking about and you worry extremely about cannibalization. But honestly, it's like a risk versus reward, right? So if you're using a glossary, for example, and then your and in that glossary, that's you use your tag system, like I've shown on previous occasions, where you use tags to create your glossary, and then every page that uses that term links to your tag pages, and then that links back, and it creates essentially this nice good web ring of interlinking, ignoring silos completely, but it does do good interlinking. If you do that, then you're going to want to keep your tags indexed. Categories is the same. If you're using them for something, keep them indexed. Otherwise, you can no index it, and it's fine. I generally choose one or the other, but I'm really good at doing and thinking about these glossaries and using those to create essentially a knowledge base for a website to increase relevance. You're not necessarily going to rank for those, but you can occasionally, and it's good just to kind of punt those out. And if you're doing, let's say Mike Merlino, if you're following him, he uses he uses questions to create relevant content for his websites. I'm sure plenty of people do that, but if you create your glossary in a form of questions, and then you can answer the question in your glossary, and then have this supplemental set of articles that are going back and linking to it too. Again, if you have more than one, then you're going to have some problems. But I mean, there's some ways you can get around that, and maybe I'll do a video on some ways to get around that issue of cannibalization. All right, Cloudflare luring web scraping box into AI labyrinth. So let's say if you are, I don't know why you would be blocking AI, but if you fell for this, they're gonna rob and steal you crap, that is generated a lot or was generated a lot by the people that were like Google lover boys, right? Um, bear in mind, Google is probably the only one that you can't block. I mean, if you block it, fine, you're going to get title tags in the search results, but you won't get anything else. Meta descriptions, you won't get people also ask, you won't get rich snippets, and they won't use your stuff for AI. Supposedly, it all depends on if they follow the bot. So what this system does is it finds web scrapers, and it's targeting AI for the most part, but it's finding web scrapers, and essentially it just auto generates content for them for them, so they never get to your website. So they're using AI to auto generate, and first they figure out, is this a bot? And then they use AI to auto generate it and send it on this wild goose chase so that they're not scraping your website to do it. It's there if you want it, like I said, but I don't know why you would want to do that. Um, with the increase, it's not like, oh my God, the AI search took it over. That's not the case. The numbers aren't even fucking close. Yeah, we're like 5-10 years away from that. In my opinion, it's like you have to get all of the users to all of a sudden just stop what they've been doing for the last 30 years, which is Google, right? Or whenever Google started. Well, yeah, we'll just say 30 years, just for the hell of it. And just stop using Google altogether and switch all of their habits and everything that they've known for most of their lives to go to AI. And that's not going to happen quickly. Things just don't transition that fast, right? So, short of Google crashing for 2 months and then everyone figuring out that Perplexity is awesome, it ain't going to happen. So, but you do want to have your content inside of here. You pre-position it as part of branding. If your customers are on AI, you want to be on AI. And if you're an information blog, guess what? You have customers, and those are the traffic that comes to your website. They see your advertising, they click on your ads, you get paid. It's the same for small businesses, etc. You want to be where they are. And while they may not all be in AI yet, eventually they will be. So why not start off with on a good foot and create content, get your name in the AI systems, and just kind of go. And honestly, it's the future, folks. Eventually, these are going to be the new search engines, and you have to go ahead and start planning for search engine optimization in the AI bots today. Speaking of that, Anthropic, they're using Brave, the Brave search engine, for their web browsing. Brave doesn't have a webmaster tools. It's called the Web Development Project, or something to that effect. You guys can Google it. And he's from everything that I read, essentially it's like users of Brave, they use Brave, and then somehow they have some kind of extension or a cookie, and then they follow you to your website, and then that's essentially how you get indexed into Brave search engine. Interesting. Um, interesting way to do it. So I can show you that web development thing. So here's Brave search. This is the search engine, and then I would Brave Webmaster Tools, because again, they don't have one. How do I index? I think this is the one that pointed me. Nope, that wasn't it. Was it this one? There it is. You need to enable WDP as an image index search console, web discovery. Here it is right here. Brave settings, search, web discovery enabled. You turn on that web discovery project, and then you essentially go to your website a whole bunch of times in the Brave browser, and that's how you get indexed. I mean, hey, that's how they want to do it. That's how they do it. I don't know. Let me go back here. Let's see. I've never done it. Digital Ear is in there, so and all the branding is there. Let's see. It looks like it's using Google. The ranking's the same. So it looks like it might be using Google. Which is good. So if you're ranking good in Google, you can rank good in Brave. Here you go. You would be available to Claude. Ta-da. Google test links in AI overviews. So this is more kind of what the fuck Google pointing out. But you see that nice big red arrow. The golden technologies, I doubt you guys can see it really in the YouTube video, but golden technology is underlined, and that's a link to a search result for golden technologies. It's not a link to golden technologies. It's a link to another search for golden technologies. And then wonderfully, they have this stupid little, this is where we got it. And that's AI citing you right here in this paper clip, which is gay. I get it. How they got to make this AI overview has to make some money. So how do you make money when you're a publisher? You create internal links and you show your stuff about. So I get it. I just wish they could do something to be a little bit cooler to publishers. You know what I mean? So people will want to click this. So I don't know. I'm not sure how to do that. Maybe even change this and make it a color so people will click on it. That would be cool. And I think I would be happy with that. If this was more clickable and more engaging to the click, that would be awesome. Or this actually matched the paper clips. Not necessarily, I'm not too worried about that. But if this is the answer, and then I'll click on the source, and then I read the source, and it's a little different for AI overview, but I trust AI overview now a little bit better, right? If this is the answer for portability, this is the answer for weight capability, I'm cool with that. But I want to be able to verify it. Smart people will want to verify it. Smart people are probably going to verify it. And if this answer is not in here, that's kind of dicked. So make these better so that you can have a better AI and then a better interaction with the publishers that are supporting your AI. That would be awesome. But there you go. Just know these aren't internal links for us. They're internal links for Google. See, even Google uses internal links. As a matter of fact, they use exact match anchors on internal links. Just pointing that out to you. HTML code. Google changed the HTML code. I wanted to bring this one up. Like, if you look at the example, this is the old one. This is the new one. It's kind of like, what the F? But I wanted to bring this up because SEO tools rely heavily on the code that's in the search results. Not necessarily, they're not reading it like we are. They're reading the code. And when Google changes code and class IDs, etc., it screws up rank trackers, it screws up analysis tools, et cetera, et cetera. So just be aware that this is one of the major things when they're doing updates. They're screwing with the code of the search results just as much as they are with the search results. So that creates inconsistencies in your rank trackers. Ahrefs admitted it. A lot of Cora, Ted, he admits it. And Ted is actually the one that kind of brought that to the forefront to me years ago when he was creating Quora, and I was like, well, why is this and why is that? Why is this? Asking questions, and ultimately, one of the things that Google changes a lot during these updates is the code, and the code screws up. Change code screws up tools. So when they say, "Oh, the update's still rolling out," it could be ergo still rolling out, or they could be changing the HTML, and when they change the HTML, it got to get repopulate the cache. I'm assuming Google uses caching for high volume searches. That would make sense to me, right? So they update that, and then all the SEO tools have to update it too. So technically, a couple weeks of rollout is realistic to get the truth about what's going on. So there you go. Now there's proof. Tool. This is a tool thing. I should put this in the tool section. I'm going to do that. There you go. Microsoft confirmed Schema helps its LLMs Copilot. So I saw a lot of blah, blah, blah on X and Blue Sky and Facebook and a couple other things saying, hey, you should do Schema for AI. And then I saw just as many people going, Schema doesn't help with AI. Schema unnecessarily, or rather necessarily or unnecessarily, is a very good, I would think, programmatic way to tell AI what you're doing. The problem is that some AI systems actually strip your page. So I don't know if I still have that plugin turned on. I don't. But if you have, there's an extension called the reader extension, and essentially you can turn off everything other than this main piece of content. And most or a lot of models do that. So they're not looking at this entire page, they're just reading this section, right? And so if they're stripping all of that out, could be made, or a assumption could be made that they're actually stripping the JSON LD or microdata or whatever out as well, and then they don't see your schema. But Microsoft says, hey, in Copilot, for Copilot, we're using Schema. And Microsoft is one of the people that developed Schema. Google did as well. So it makes sense to me that their AI could be using it to help digest a little bit more. This page is about this because the Schema said so. Here's the content. We put that together, and then we can make more informed decisions about it. So another reason to do more Schema and to learn more about Schema and to tell the story of your web page in your Schema to help with AI. Microsoft said they're doing it. So you should be doing Schema. Here's a free course I just wanted to point out. JavaScript SEO. Google uses JavaScript. They're reading it, they're parsing it different times, etc. But yeah, it can be kind of a pain in the ass to get through all the mumbo jumbo to learn about this. So these two ladies are putting on this free training through Sitebulb. You can see the modules here: understanding JavaScript SEO, auditing JavaScript for SEO, and communicating JavaScript issues. This would be the part that I would focus on. I'm going to sign up for it. I suggest you guys do it too. It's a free course, and Sitebulb is a cool tool, so why not get the course and support the tool? How to track traffic from AI. This is very technical. I think I showed another post like that, this too, but you can see this one has featured snippets. People also ask as well. And she walks you through the actual steps to do it with the Google Tag Manager. If you're not familiar with it, this may be a pain in the ass, but if you can just follow some simple directions, you're just going to copy paste some stuff and drop it into your Tag Manager, and then activate Tag Manager on your website, and then create the new events in Google Tag Manager, etc., and get your dimensions in. And then if you have any traffic from these places, it'll start showing up in your analytics report. Easy peasy. It is not easy peasy. It's kind of a tag manager is kind of a bear. You can screw some stuff up, but she's got really good instructions. So it should be easy peasy. So I recommend try this out. If Google searches don't use your page, it may be removed. This makes sense. I mean, Google has been testing pages forever. That's why you can optimize a page for keyword X and then it'll show for A, B, C, D, and through Z. And Google is testing to see how those pages do in those particular search results. Where it lands in the test depends on the relevancy of the keyword. So you're not all going to go to number one and just see how it works. It's just going to, are we going to test it for this keyword? It's optimized for this. It scores this high. So we'll put it here. So it makes sense that if people aren't clicking it and they're not reading it, then your page can be removed from the search results. So you get stuff that drops in and drops out of the index. And so you need to be aware that can and does happen and will continue to happen. I'd also say that if you're not doing some kind of promotion, some backlinking, etc., to take advantage of this thing called Nav Boost, right? So you get in there, click on it, and then get in there, you click on it. That's traffic. And then if you get some promotions, that's votes. The traffic and the promotions and the clicks will help your ranking stick higher or longer for sure. So if you find yourself in an indexing issue and you have the backlinks and maybe you just don't have the clicks because you're not ranking high enough or change the way the search results go, so you're not getting traffic by your own, not by any of your own results, then maybe it's time to not look at Google for that particular page and look at other search engines, Pinterest, Brave, Bing, etc., and see where you are there and leverage that some more versus worrying about Google. So a couple of ways you can use this information for sure. What ChatGPT can and cannot see on your website. This is comprehensive audit. This is testing. I like this stuff. Text only, blog article, tint, etc., and all of the findings. So the result here, a text only website, ChatGPT successfully retrieved the correct information. And then a blog. Can you retrieve and tell me what the elements? ChatGPT cannot find the information which was located in one of the article pages. It's interesting. Blog title hint, successfully retrieve information from the title. Blog hint website. Can you visit this website and tell me about ancient symbols, particularly, and did not find specific information was present on the website? It's interesting. Can you visit URL and tell me what is the ancient city of Eldor known for? ChatGPT found the retrieval information. This is JavaScript hidden content. JavaScript tab content retrieval. ChatGPT found it. JavaScript accordion found it. Dynamic loaded content retrieval. Dynamically loaded content retrieval. ChatGPT didn't find it. So tabs, accordions in JavaScript, it can see tabs, it can see static content, it can see, but if you dynamically loaded, like you have to do, like if I scroll here and then this blue box shows up, it won't see it. Which is interesting. This is a great set of tests to do if you want to get into testing. This is how you start with search engine optimization for AI. You can do this with Claude, Perplexity, Google's AI, Gronk, etc. You just duplicate these and learn a lot about how they're reading your page, so that when you're worried about indexing and then ergo ranking being used and cited in the search results of a ChatGPT, for instance, then you have a better understanding of what they can and can't see on your page. So if you're focusing on Google's AI, for example, and Google can't read the JavaScript tabs, then, don't put your content in JavaScript tabs, right? And that's what this kind of testing will prove. So I like it. AI cannot think like an SEO expert. It's kind of duh, but just going to remind everyone, business owners and SEOs alike, AI is a tool. It's called generative large language modules, generative AI. So it makes up shit. Even if it has access to the internet, it's still going to make up shit, and so you have to read it, you have to understand it, and then you have to know how to apply it. You have to know how to ask questions of it, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where your SEO efforts are going to take place. Does it make it easier? Does it make SEO easier? Yes. Does it do all the SEO for you? No. And there is no tool out there that will do all the SEO for you, because every SEO problem is unique is just as much as every domain is unique, and every keyword is unique, and every market is unique. And so you need the SEO to think about and combining those things, and they're adding their experience to the output of AI to know what to implement and what not to implement. So, yeah. If you see, I would say run from any tool that claims to automate your SEO and it's doing awesome. Really, it's just doing, fancy version of the same thing that SEO plugins are doing when you fill in the placeholders for the shortcodes. Just stay away from it. And if you're going to do it, don't let it auto apply stuff to you. Like they have JavaScript implementations that, overlay, or it'll fire off and change things like your internal linking and your title tags and all that madness afterwards. Don't even fall for that crap, because as soon as you stop paying, all of your supposed SEO work is gone. And it's your website. You should be making changes, or your SEO team should be making changes that are permanent to your website. If anything else is not permanent, like backlinks, etc., then the on-page stuff should be permanent. And so I don't like using JavaScript overlays. I have one for a test running that's in links, and that's on my own personal site, but I take the recommendations out of inlinks and apply them manually for clients. 4 practices with diminishing returns. I don't know how much you guys are all smart, so I don't know how many of you really need to know this, but diminishing returns, page speed improvements. If your site is stupid ass slow, then doing page speed optimization and optimizing core web vitals is good things. But if it's not, you're not going to get much out of it. So fix the clunkiness, etc. But don't expect an SEO improvement. You probably get a conversions improvement, which honestly is a better investment anyway. Increasing backlink authority. I think, what's the best way to say this? You need to do promotions. If you do promotions, ergo, you're going to get backlinks, because on the internet, that's how you promote and link to and tell people about other businesses. So you're going to do backlinks. And then because of that, your site will gain authority, or page rank, or domain rating, or whatever metric you want to use. But so you want to do that, and inherently in that, you're going to increase the authority of it. So if you're focused on promotion, you're going to get this, okay? If you focus on this, then you're going to really, you may not necessarily, you might improve this, but you might not increase your promotion, because you're promoting ineffectively. So you might not get some traffic from like other websites or et cetera, because you're picking your websites or where you're linking on based off of increasing authority. So focus on promotion, and this will happen all by itself. Publishing new content. Oh, I want to keep doing it. I don't want to do this. Is a either or kind of statement, right? Publish new content versus refreshing old and removing underused pages. I don't like to just publish content for the sake of publishing content. I mean, sometimes I'll go a whole month or two without publishing new content on my sites or client sites, because we want to promote the stuff that we already invested time, money, and effort into, so that we can squeeze everything out of that versus creating new stuff. So versus, unlike other people who say like, oh, I'm going to just drop 500 articles on my website, or 1,000, or AI, I can make a 50,000 page web page. I don't want to do that. And just publishing blindly every day without any promotion just doesn't work all that well to get traffic. And I've got a test site that I have that does that. It just publishes blindly every day on 2015. Is it 15 subdomains that I have on there? And each subdomain is a website plus the primary website. So they're all just publishing away. And they're not getting any traffic. And I doubt they're getting any rankings. And I haven't checked the indexing, but I would imagine that's going to be low too. So just publishing new content in and of itself is not necessarily going to be good for you. My test site, the reason that's running is I want to be testing niche edits and all that other stuff. So I'm not necessarily worried about it as long as Google knows about it. But I got to make sure I can create something to facilitate the whole Google knows about it thing. So publishing new content, just going willy-nilly, is not necessarily a good thing either. And refreshing old content is when is the juice worth to squeeze? So I'd find a balance. And this kind of graphic shows exactly the same. 41% growth when there's a balance between updating old content, and creating new content. So find a balance and do a little bit of both, and you'll find some better success. This is, I think, really important for business owners to hear as well, because a lot of SEOs, they'll sell you, oh, I'm going to create this whole bunch of content, blah, blah, blah. And they forget the whole promotion step that I tell you about. So you're down here, you're in this, oh, I'm creating all this content, and you're getting a loss of traffic or minimal growth, because all you're doing is just creating new content and they're not fixing your old stuff. Have them fix your old stuff. Make sure that they're doing that as part of your thing. So it's almost better to get an SEO, and I'm just using random numbers here, but one that says, hey, we're going to create 2 new pages every month for you, and we're going to fix 2 of your old pages every month for you as part of a SEO plan, versus we're going to create 4 articles for you, or 10 articles, or whatever, however they're selling it, they're pitching it these days. Leadership in SEO, stupid pop-up. Here we go. This is an article about syndication, and I wanted to kind of just point out something. This isn't new. So, but SEOs, we live in a circle of life, and our circle goes over and around and rings back. So syndication's kind of ringing its ugly head again. And the reason, frankly, that it's doing this is because Google's publishing system is a little bit broken. So essentially big websites with big ass budgets are ranking. And so when you syndicate, in this case to MSM and Yahoo, they're going to rank with your stuff, and your stuff is never going to rank. So if you're doing legit press releases and you want to be noticed as the primary source of that article before things kick off too well, delay the syndication on your website. I wouldn't have the first fucking clue to how to do this with the with RSS in WordPress, but that might be an interesting thing to look up, like if you can do it. So if I publish on Monday, I don't want it to go to my RSS feeds until Wednesday so that Google has time to index my page before it gets syndicated out to my partners, i.e., and if my partners are Yahoo and MSN, if you're so lucky, then the potential that you'll get outranked with your own content is a little bit less. Not that much less because it is Yahoo and MSN, but it is a little bit less. And at the end of the day, I don't necessarily know if this is something to really get all that butthurt about, because let's say Yahoo is ranking and MSN is ranking and then your website is ranking, but all three of those lead to your brand, the promotion of your product, whatever that be, service or product or whatever, and all roads lead to you. So it's not necessarily the end of the world, and is the point if you're using New York Times, Globe, and MSM and Yahoo, for example, to syndicate your cut. Doing that and hijacking their authority and their traffic and leveraging it for your promotions. It's kind of the purpose, right? So this is, I don't know about sending your customers here, but just have this kind of piece on your website, especially if you're an SEO or you're doing press releases for SEO purposes, just so that they understand, they being your customers, they have this thing. So when you send them a PR report and they get all butthurt because they're not getting the 10 million traffic thingies that, some of those PR reports say you're going to get. It's not necessarily true. And this is what's going on, right? And so this helps clarify that. And you can add that to the promotion/backlinks topic. SEOs should focus on clicks and conversions. This is kind of asked out. So SEOs should focus on clicks and conversions. Microsoft actually didn't say that. He asked questions in relations to this snapshot from a Google slide. So Google's growth rate is at 5 times ChatGPT's per year. And then Fabrice asked, what is conversion value of those searches, etc. He didn't say anything about SEO should focus on this. He asked these questions, and this is kind of something that you guys need to be aware of. Make sure that you get past these little clickbaity, faggoty ass titles and get into the meat of what is actually happening in the conversation, so that you can avoid any misunderstandings. If you don't have rankings in a search engine, if your sole traffic source is organic search, if you don't have, let's go even closer, if you're not crawled, you're not indexed, you're not served, you're not ranked, then you won't get traffic, and then you can't have convert clicks, or you won't get clicks, so you won't have traffic, so you can't have conversions. So you need to focus on all of those things, because they all one thing leads to another. And there you go. So Barry Schultz, clickbaity. Core update 2025. This is out from Systrix now. Just kind of shows you a couple different graphs and what may or what may not have happened. I know some of you are going to look at this and go, "Oh, let's go see who fell and who dropped." Just please remember that they're not doing any. The closest they get is country in regionality. So, this would change, especially like in US or whatever. Is a retail seller in the UK. It's all UK related. It's honestly, just be careful of this data. One, we know that Systrix ranking is not very good, the rank tracking, because it removes all personalization whatsoever. And so you don't get really accurate picture at all of what you're ranking for if you have one of these accounts. I've shown this before when I signed up for Systrix to look at the data. And then I asked Systrix for support, and they admitted, yeah, it's not really that accurate. So just be careful of this. I want to make you aware that these are out. And so be prepared if you are dealing with clients, or if you're on the Twitter, or I'm sorry, on X or Blue Sky, and people are showing that this data is what it is, but is not very good. Independent search. So if you don't know what this is about, Danny Sullivan was at a conference and he was on a roundtable, and he said that they were working towards getting more independent sites back into search. And obviously the next relevant question would be, well, when's that going to happen? And they said sometime this year. So December 2025, you can maybe hope that your little independent site could be back into the top 10 of the search results, as opposed to like a Reddit or a Quora or whatever. So just understand that Google says that they're going to do that. We'll see how that all plays out. I wouldn't necessarily hold your breath, though. Tools. OpenAI has a voice text-to-speech model now. This is the whatchamacallit. It's a demo. So you can come in here and drop this in, pick some of these things and push play, and it'll do it. But they mainly want you to use the API to leverage this stuff. So if you have like a big ass blog post or whatever, then you want to use OpenAI to create that. You're going to have to do that with the API. So not necessarily a bad thing. You can learn a little bit about Python and fire that up and go to town. I didn't look up pricing though. So if you're going to do that, I would be very careful on how much it actually costs. Notebook LM is adding mind maps. I want to play with this a little bit too. This would be really cool function to kind of augment like a Canva or whatever. And let's see, you have a table. I thought I had a table saved. Anyway, you put a table inside of mind maps or inside a Notebook LM and maybe make a mind map out of it or whatever, and just kind of support the rest of or you have a list or, whatever, and steps, etc. And you can use Notebook LM now to create mind maps for it and make it a little bit easier for you to create images for your content that could be unique. So definitely a new feature inside of Notebook LM to check out. Questions. My HTTP is ranked higher than my HTTPS. How do I fix it? So in this user's case, they're using Squarespace, and I looked at Squarespace's dev tools, and they have free SSL. So you just turn on the free SSL certificate and they create it. And then they turn on HTTPS, and then you got to go back through and clean up your URLs inside of your templates. I have never used Squarespace before, so I don't know how much that's good or bad of work that's going to be. What I didn't see is an HT access redirects thing, and that's where this guy's questions come in, because they're both ranking, and if they're both ranking, that tells me that the HT access isn't turned on or set up inside of Squarespace. And that's the first thing that needs to be addressed. So you turn on your SSL certificate, which is obviously on because they're both there. And then you make sure that the HT access and all of the URLs get force redirected to the HTTPS version. And that's Squarespace, WordPress, no matter, regardless of the website you're using, you need to make sure that that's done. If you're doing WordPress, a plugin called Real Simple SSL will knock it out for you. And there's a pro version, but the free version is generally all you need to get that function. Or you can use ChatGPT if you want to live a little bit dangerously and create the HTTPS rules for you and pop it out. It's not really all that hard. You're not necessarily living dangerously. You just make some decisions. That's how you choose HTTPS or HTTP, trailing backslash versus backslash, www versus not, those kind of things. You do that all inside of, or a lot of that inside of your htaccess folder. So that's how you fix this. There you go. Site got hacked. So essentially, if you remember, there's a lot of these where they're adding filters and stuff, and the user also claimed that they changed all his title tags and stuff too, which is a little weird and inconsistent with what typically these hackers do. I'm not saying it's impossible and that didn't happen to him. I'm just saying it's inconsistent. But there is a server hack, and essentially it's a PHP file that creates that thing right there, that PRL string. And so in order to fix it, you got to find the PHP file that's creating it and then remove all the calls to it that are all in your files, and something like anti-malware by Eli and a little bit of proactiveness will prevent this from happening in the first place. But once it does happen, you got to turn these all off. There's plenty of recommendations, 301, all these, or etc. I would probably lean towards 410ing versus 301ing. But 301ing if you have no choice, and just kind of find the common things here and see if you can commonly filter these out and 301 them. More often than not, though, there's probably not going to be enough of a unique pattern here that you can do that. So just leave them, let them die, let Google clean it all out. You could potentially download all of them that are in the Search Console. That generally is where you're going to see this first, is in Search Console after it's already done some damage to the reputation of your website, and then go and do use Google indexing, and instead of indexing, unindex, and you can try that and see how it works. Not gonna hold your breath that that's gonna get rid of very quickly though, but just understand that once they hack your website, they're gonna screw up your SEO a little bit. That's generally how you take care of that. Clean it up, delete them, submit it to Google that they're all deleted, and then wait until things get back to normal in regards to your Search Console data. How did I choose a bad domain name? Essentially, there's a product that they use, and he chose a play of it called Chloropulse, and Google is auto correcting to the product name. This even happened to me when I was first started Digital Ear. Google would suggest, "Did you mean?" or "showing results for," instead of, and so it's just something you really got to deal with, and it's quite common actually. So if you have a new client, or you yourself are doing a business and you run into this and Google's suggesting name changes, just rank some more pages, i.e. rank your X account, your LinkedIn, your Pinterest, your YouTube channel, your Facebook page, your website for the brand, set up all your schema, take over the top 10 search results for your brand. And eventually what will happen is you'll notice that Google will start getting rid of that. Create a Google map too, especially if you're a local business. And Google will get rid of the "did you mean" inside option, and understand that your brand is that. It is, in this guy's case, Chloroplus. And it'll correct that for you. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. So continue to do what you do, and just know that that's something you have to deal with, especially if you're not using like an exact match domain or an exact match name. That's going to come up a lot, and it's just a part of life now. So, and it's not it's your homepage too, right? So generally, as part of your branding and your promotions and stuff, all your links are going to go towards your brand anyway. So this should take care of itself relatively quickly. I would go like 3 to 6 months. That's relatively quickly in SEO age. When we're talking something about Google, you want Google to adopt your entity as a thing, and then stop showing the considering it a misspelling. So take that and fix that. Oh, bless me. All right, that is it. So we got you some tools, got you some questions answered. Saw you some cool guy content, and hope you appreciate the show. If you have any suggestions, make sure you leave it in the comments. If you have any questions you like answered in the next week, leave those in the comments as well. Don't put them in the live chat or if the chat even shows up. I don't think it will. Leave your questions in the comments. When I'm putting these shows together, I roll back to the last week and check the comments to make sure there's any questions there or not. So leave them in the comments, ask in the comments. If it's cool enough question, I'll make a whole unique video during the week about that question. And otherwise, I'll answer it the following Monday in the show. That might not be timely enough for a lot of people, but at least you get a different perspective. And if you don't mind waiting a week to hear that perspective, then there you go. And with that, thank you very much for watching again. And this has been SEO This Week.